Five Legendary Nightshifts at Kai is a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game made by me and two other people from my game design class that I learned to program in. And you guys may have seen me announce stuff for this game or, give some teasers that it was coming, but I never really gave any full backstory on it, let alone how I learned to make a Five Nights at Freddy's game in the 2 week deadline that we actually had to make a final project. Now, today I'm just going to be guiding through the simplistics of the game, the story, and what really is the game overall, because it did kind of come out of nowhere, and I would love nothing more than to give everybody just a simple explanation on what this game really is. So I hope you guys enjoy, and please consider subscribing, liking the video. Any form of support really does help out this channel. So let's get started. So one of the first things that I would like to clarify is what this game actually is and how it got started. Five Legendary Nightshifts at Kai, also known as FLNAK. We're just going to call it Five Legendary Nightshifts at Kai. It doesn't matter if I say it wrong or anything. But this game originally started because us three are game designers, and we used our three, I'd say, biggest characters from our, custom games that we made, specifically in GameMaker 8.1, and put them into a Five Nights at Freddy's game as our final project for our coding class. Now, as you know, BitShift is my character for BitShift, obviously, or you could just call him Shift. We're going to call him Shift in this video. And the blue character that you will see recurrently in the background video is named Artemis. She is designed by JSOP, who is specifically the audio creator for this game, and she has her own mechanic and blah blah blah. But that's their main character from their game Artemis Legends, I believe it's called. Sorry if I messed that up. And then there is Kai, the main artist for the game, who made all these beautiful models that you're seeing on screen right now, and pretty much every art aspect of the game, animation, jump scare, all that fun stuff. So their character is called Kai, and it is pretty much just a remade Sonic OC fan-made character, and I think it's personally awesome because having our three custom characters now, something unique to them that means a lot to us. It really did help give just a straight interpretation of what we wanted this game to be. So that's just the backstory, I guess. This game doesn't have too much lore, although it does, but it's just mostly inside jokes that involve around our personal life, which I'm not really going to get into because obviously it's just real life information involving, all this stuff that we made. But anyways, the next segment that I want to get onto is what really happens in this game, how it all works, and little details that you might not have noticed, because I'm not really going to give a full showcase on the game, but I think just clarifying everything in a nice little straightforward way would help everybody's understanding to this. So let's get into that now, and yeah. So this game was made in GameMaker LTS, I think the 2022 version, not that it matters because it did just get updated to 2026 around a day or two ago. So there will be more projects coming in that version, but right now we're just going to kind of get into how this game works as your simple Five Nights at Freddy's game and how some of the mechanics work so we can get through it before you play the game, so maybe you can just get a little understanding on everything. Okay, now the first thing we have is our rooms where, if you're a normal game developer and you kind of just understand the stuff already, that's good for you. But the main room where everything happens is the office, and as you may see, there's a bunch of controllers right here in the instances layer, and yeah, ambience controller for the ambient sound, blah blah blah. You'd probably understand how all this stuff works, and you might see there's a bunch of things that you see in the office that aren't actually there, so that's just straight visibility messing with. But basically, this is all the folders that everything is stored in. So first up, we have our camera folder, which is a huge part of the game because it has a bunch of stuff in it. So camera buttons are the, one of 10 camera buttons that bring you to each camera when the cameras are activated. Now, in this step event, there's always something we have that is a very important variable to this game called global.camShow. Global.camShow being testing if the cameras are up. So cam show equals true, then the game knows that the cameras are up, and that can lead to a bunch of other things that can happen. And in the left press event with your mouse, when clicking on the camera button, what it does is it tests if the cameras are up, just to make sure that you're only allowed to press on this if the cameras are up, because it's still placed in the room, you just don't see it. And yeah, that's how that works. But instance under create death, the camera static, which is the little bzz, the camera TV static that you'll see, which is a very short animation, which has an animation end on it, meaning when the animation ends, we just destroy it. So that's how you create a little static effect. It plays the buzzing sound to indicate that you are switching cameras. And then global.cam current is the camera that you're currently on. So obj_cam3. Now we are on cam 3's button. So it's going to show the current cam. It will create camera 3, which we'll get into on how these all work, because as you can see, the objects are all down here. And it will set the visibility of every other camera in the game to false. So camera 1 will not be shown, camera 2 will not be shown, etc., etc. Now, the actual cameras, which is in the background, not the button, as you can see, there are different sprites for it, which we will 100% get into. We'll get into all of this. But there are 3 variables, mainly because of the 3 animatronics. There is shift here, legend here, which is Artemis, because Artemis Legends, but it's just a shorter name for the variable, and Kai here. Now, on camera 1, that is the show stage, meaning that all animatronics are on this stage, and that is why they are all checked off as true. But in the step event, meaning always, if you didn't know, it tests something for every possibility of every combination of the animatronic variables that can appear onto this camera. So, if all things are true, it shows the original Cam 1 sprite, which is all of the animatronics on the stage. But if it's false, then it will show the sprite SPR_Cam1_empty in the sprite index. And what if shift is there, but legend or Artemis and Kai are not? Then it will show SPR_Cam1_shift only. So in the sprites, as you can see, it's pretty much all of this just duplicated for better organization in the files. But you can go to the camera, and the cams in here have way more sprites than they do objects. And it is every single possibility for the cameras to make sure that every possibility and outcome can be accounted for. So it was a very long process, but we got it done in around less than an hour, because, like I said, only a 2-week deadline for this game. Now, after all the variables are checked, that is camera 1 for the showing. Now, we'll go back to this little section, and we'll go to cam 2. Now, cam 2's create event only has Kai and shift there, but I'm 99% sure, unless I'm just a dumb game developer, that only shift can appear onto this camera. I'm pretty sure. Yes, he can, as we can see. So it shows if shift is not here, it will show the default cam 2 sprite, but if he is there, then it will show cam 2 with only shift on it. So that's how this all works, and it depends on the cam show as well, so it's basically just a chain reaction of events. Now, the animatronic objects are right here, and this is where stuff gets interesting, because you are messing with the alarms or the timers and the AI chances of it moving depending on what night. So, in the create event, we use a custom variable called myPlace, and we set it to 0. And there is multiple places that you can go to, and each place will depend which camera object is shown if the cameras are up. Now, myPlace equals 0, and 0 equals cam 1, which is the stage, meaning the first place that, for example, Kai will be able to be is the show stage. And place 1 will be camera 4, 5, and 6. And now with the night system, thanks to a bit of help from my friend Claude AI, thank you, there is the global night counter, so it means if the night is past night 2, meaning that Kai starts on night 3, sorry, this is if before night 2 is happening, the alarm is super long, meaning that it's pretty much impossible for Kai to be moving on those nights. But if it's not, and night 3 equals, true, like it's present, then the alarm movement for Kai can start. And the way that the alarm movements work is it will set the alarm 0, and this is where you need to put into account for all of these things. So, if my place is not equal to 3, because I believe place 3 is it's the shock mechanic, I believe? I'm not sure, but it's kind of irrelevant. This is mainly the relevant section right here on line 10. When the alarm is done, my place will always add by 1, because we do not have random paths. This is actually just quite a pattern, so theoretically you could learn the pattern and exact timings of every animatronics movement. But it will add 1 to the place, and as we know, the place when added 1, 2, will go to the next camera. So that is how you move the animatronic on the camera or off camera. It just depends on what cam show is equal to, but it shows. And my place in the brackets, as you could see, it will make sure that whatever place it is, chi here equals true. So it's moving the variable chi here with you to show, the camera movement. So now you can maybe see everything is adding up. Now, if my place equals visible and true, meaning that you are looking at the camera and the camera is up, it will create the static and play the sound cam change, which means that the animatronic has moved while you are looking at the camera. So just so it doesn't disappear right at the camera, which sometimes it does bug, but it's okay. It will show a little static and play the sound to indicate, oh, for the player, this animatronic has moved. And if my place equals 3, there is something new, because for chi, only for chi, it's odd that I'm doing it in the wrong order from, least complex to most complex animatronic, but it's okay. The spin dash sound will play, and if you haven't heard it, it's like a charge up. And, if you know Game Maker, you could just look at the files and, oh, there's spin dash. And we can play it. This is what we'll play. And it plays, and if playing for 5 seconds, which we'll get into, it does that, and we'll explain why. So, when that happens, it starts a 5-second alarm, and if that alarm is done, and you have not shocked chi, which, yes, like I said, we're going to get into it, then global.chi scare, and there are variables for each scare, depending on each animatronic, shift scare, legend scare, it will equal true, and we will discuss what happens when those equal true. Now, Artemis is kind of the same thing, only less places, and since he can appear in the office unlike Kai, his third place, or I guess you could say place 2, but his real third place is the office. And when that is the sprite, the office sprite will show with Artemis when she is at the door. So, as you can see, office sprites, and here it is, SPR_office_legend, there she is, sitting in the room. So that's how it works. It's sprite index and stuff, and also, we can get into the nights now. Depending on the night, the alarm for the movement will get shorter and shorter to create that more intense feeling that the nights are progressing and the animatronics are getting more aggressive. And when the alarm is done, it's pretty much the same thing as what I'm about to show you for shift, only shift actually takes, that's the sprites. Shift actually takes a longer path. So, as you can see, 6 places, or 5 places, but 6 different actual place variables are present. And yeah, so it's pretty self-explanatory if you've been paying attention. Not that you really need this for any tutorial, but it's still there. And these are the 2 things now we're going to get into that activate the cameras. So when cam going to is created, it just sets the depth in front of everything to make this animation of you zooming into the camera. And by the way, this is all 2D, but the 3D renders were just given the sub-images to me, and the frames, whatever you want to call them, and put in to give that illusion of you being in a 3D room. And when the animation is over for cam going into, here's all the things that happen. This means that the animation for the cameras going into is done, and now you are basically on the cameras, and you have to set that up. So the sprite index cam going into, it plays a sound, it makes the image speed 0, which means it locks it. I don't remember fully how this works because I am new into coding, and this was also one of the first things that I implemented into the game, but it's okay. Cam show equals true, and that is a ginormous factor of the game right now, because as we know, cam show and also with cam current, meaning the current camera that you're on, it's activated, and the visible will equal true, so now the camera system is open. And, it will destroy the animation of the camera going into once the sprite index is cam going out, which now there is a sprite for it, but there's no object because the programming for the camera going down is in obj_cam down. So it works the same, except it always has cam show activated when this is present because it is always showing when the camera is showing. And when you hover over this object, as in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, when you hover over the little bar at the bottom, the cameras go down, cam show is equal to false, and then all the other cameras are set false to visible, and sounds go back to doing whatever they need to do. And when the animation is done, nothing happens. So there's just a little note there to know, like, when this animation is done, I know what happens. So that's a simple way of doing it, and also obj underscore cam interact creates the instance of cam going into. So basically, there's less programming on this and more programming on the cam going into. This is just kind of here to create that chain reaction of illusion that, you're opening the cameras now, and then you're going into the cameras, and then you're at the cameras. Okay. Now, there's other small stuff like the cam recording thing, like the outline, but that's really, really self-explanatory, and like I said, it only shows if cam show equals true. The debugger is a private dev variable that is set to visible off, which shows a secret keybind to skip the night when Control N is being pressed, and it also shows a bunch of text for me testing out the variables for each animatronic. So yeah, that's a simple little dev key, a little secret that you guys don't get to see. Now we're moving on to the doors, and what is it with the doors that makes it really special is that this was the first thing I added into the game in terms of gameplay. So it basically is one sprite, and that sprite is either played in reverse or not, and image speed equaling 0 will freeze at the last frame. So when the door animation is shutting, it freezes on the last frame of the door being shut, and once that is over, door left dot open is equal to false, which means the door is shut. And it's the same coding, just vice versa, for the right door. And the actual door now, we can do the right door, it doesn't matter. When this is created, open equals true, because, the game always has to start with it being true. And it follows the logic of, depending on whatever sub-image it's on, or whatever state the animation is, that determines whether door.open is true or false. So that's a simple little thing. There's not much I need to get into, but now we can get into the jump scares. So every jump scare follows the same logic. It creates at a depth in front of everything, so that way the jump scare is forced into the player's view, and it plays whatever designated jump scare sound that is provided for that character. And the animation end, it will go to the death room. So, it's a very simple process. All of these are literally the same thing. The menu, very simple. I take the Kai menu as a huge controller because this sets night 1 to 1 if the night hasn't been set yet, as you can see in the notes. And it also stops any phone call that was happening. So say you die during one of the phone calls and then you go back to the menu, it will just simply not play the phone calls. So little stuff that you have to account for. There's the logo that just sits there. Nothing crazy, but it also sets the window full screen to true, even though I already did that in the game preferences. Now, an average player would come across this, which is the placeholder newspaper for when starting the game, but we just kept it the way that it was because I didn't really think that there was any other thing that I wanted to do with it. There was no other thing. It sets an alarm for 60 times 3 frames because the game runs at 60 FPS or 60 room speed standard, and then multiplies by 3, which is, I believe, 180 frames, and then when those frames are done, it goes to the next room being the office. Now on the play button, it goes to the next room, which is the office, and it stops the menu music, but that's an old way of doing it. I haven't updated one. I don't know if I'm on the right build or not, but it's okay. And it plays the play sound, which is called All Shucks. And OBJ Shucks, scrapped. Don't worry about it. Music, simple. This is just controllers that play certain audio when created. It's very simple. The beep, when you click on a plushie or a poster and it does the beep, that is where it is. It just plays that sound really quickly. So that's small stuff. And yeah. The night controls, I had a bit of help from Claude AI, so I'm not going to be able to fully explain this bit as much as I can. But basically, you can probably decode this yourself. What happens is the depth is set in front because this is what displays the text, I believe. There is the 6 a.m. room, so this is not in the office. And it will show whatever night it is, and it will go to the windscreen, depending on whatever you're on. So if you're on night 5, you go to the windscreen, which is the paycheck when you beat the full game, or you just go to night intro, which night intro, now to jump into that, is just something that will draw display whatever night you're on before you go into the office. That way you can just keep track. It's for the little Five Nights at Freddy's nostalgia transition. And the the windscreen, I scrapped that one. Sets a 240 frame alarm, and when that alarm is done, it goes back to the menu. So that's simple. That's pretty much the full playthrough. Now, this is where stuff gets really complicated, and I'm not going to fully know how to explain these two specifically, but we can try. And also, I will explain this. OBJ mouse was also one of the first things I added for the view movement when putting your mouse left and right. Basically, if cam show equals false, because you don't want the view moving left and right when the camera is up, x equals mouse underscore x. So basically, it just follows the mouse's movement horizontally. It's weird. I did not do this. One of my teachers helped me do it because I'm very bad with viewports. It's not my strength. Now, the mute call button is actually way more complicated than it should be, and even in the game right now, it's still bugged, which I honestly don't have a problem with, but it is just really annoying knowing that it's just kind of sitting there. So when it's created, it does a bunch of things, but basically it just tests whatever night is going and plays that phone call, whatever it is. When this is destroyed, it stops whatever night call was playing. That is a variable, and night call equals basically whatever one is playing on that night. And there's a bunch of alarms for when it displays and disappears after each call is done if you haven't skipped it or whatever. And there's a muted variable, meaning that you mute the call, and that means to stop every other thing that was playing, and destroy it, meaning in the destroy object, it's all just a loop. And when you press on it, if visible is not true, then you can just do all these things. So it's simple. It's not really something that needs a lot of explaining. Unlike this, the Office. Now this is genuinely one of the craziest codes. Even though it's not that crazy of a code, it still is just jam-packed with information, but it does loop so it gets consistent when trying to understand it. This is what sets our biggest variables: cam show, cam current, shift here, legend here, chi here, shift scare, chi here, shift scare, chi scare, and legend scare. This also creates every bit of the camera, but invisible, as we've previously discussed. And it creates the power controller for the, power of the game. That we don't run out of power, whatever. We'll get into it right now. And, yeah, simple. And what it does, it is the main source of checking which animatronic is where. So, shift here equals false, and legend here equals false, the sprite stays Office. But if one is true and one is false, it, creates a jump scare. It really just depends. That's why if some are on the camera at the same time. As you can see, shift is here, but shift isn't here, but legend is. It will show SPR underscore Office, legend only in the sprite index. So simple like that. And everything else is just depending on what's happening, whether it's the camera movement or the jump scare. It just decides what to keep visible and what not to. So it's just a bunch of lines, but at the end of the day, it really is just copy and paste to account for every possibility. And this is scrapped. OBJ power is the power system, and there are 3 big variables that matter. Ignore all this stuff. I mean, the clock, the clock is simple. We know it just adds on, and when it reaches 6 a.m., it goes to night intro room. But the drain rate's power per step, whatever. The idle drain is 0.0004 power loss per frame, and the game runs at 60, so 1 second you would lose whatever this is times 60, I believe. And the door drain is 0.002, and the cam drain is 0.001, because these numbers used to be way higher, and it used to cause big problems for the game. Now, in the step event, I'm not really in the mood to explain all this, because I am getting quite tired. It's getting quite late, but it's basically just explaining which variables are present and when to start activating the drain for the power. And, and in the power, it depends on if the power's out, you will get jump scare by Kai. Simple. And the draw GUI just displays the text at the top right of the screen for whatever the power is and the way it moves. Phone calls. That is old. The preloader, also old. It was going to be something to prevent image lagging before I was able to get the HTML file and then upload it to itch on the game page because the game was very laggy in the executable file state. Sound controllers. This is simple stuff like the 6 a.m. Oh, my bad. Wrong one. There's just a bunch of sounds, simple like that. Night start, whatever. It's all simple stuff. And sprites, we don't really need to go over these, but if you want to know, because the game is fully 2D, how do we make these? It's all just layers. If I go to the Office, as you can see, I'm removing every bit of stuff from the room. And everything's in the room, but it depends where you put it. And that's the camera objects as we were discussing. But we're just gonna you know. Oh, sorry about that. Let me just undo everything. Perfect. Yeah. And there was a shader that was actually going to be used for a warping effect, but we did not use it because it was just bad for the cameras. And sounds, as we know, sounds or whatever, we know how they work. That's very loud. Beep, as you can see, it's simple. But yeah, that's how the game works. And, if you want to play the game is on itch. You can click the link right now and start playing without any installation, any payment, anything. This was just made for fun in a 2-week deadline, and I'm very happy, and I'm betting on the behalf of the other 2 developers of the game that are also happy to get this game out. So yeah, that was just kind of explaining what it is, but thank you guys for watching. If you did watch all the way to the end, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, or whatever. Do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm just glad to get this information out to the public because this game was very worked on, and I'm just glad that it's out. And it is in a prototype state, so you will 100% come across any errors. If you want to inform me on those errors, unless I already know about them, which I might, but I might not, contact me at @piffgames on Discord. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say today. And I hope to make many other projects in the future. I have some big stuff coming up for next year in my senior year of high school, so we will get to that in a while when the time is right. So thank you guys for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Peace.